was a teenager, I often wonder, why am I here? I felt as though I was just thrown into this world without giving me any kind of answer or guidance. And some philosopher described this feeling like waking up in a movie theater, and then the movie has been playing for the last 10 minutes. So you are just waking it up and then try to figure out what this drama that we are experiencing right now. You are just thrown into this movie theater. So I was, watching the drama of my life, as a teenager, and tried to figure out, what is that which is watching this drama, So I became very interested in spiritual practices and became very interested in religion. So I ended up studying religion in college, and then I was, following many different teachings. But ultimately, I wanted to just experience quote unquote enlightenment, like the way Buddha did. So I said, maybe I should become a monastic and get the proper training, and maybe I'll be able to have that experience. So, I became a monk after my graduate school, and then I went through the training. And while living in Buddhist monastery, I realized that while we are meditating and all that, however, every Sunday we do offer services for lay people. However, after the services, they will want to come and have a conversation over tea with Buddhist monks. So what ended up happening was I was sitting there in my 20-something, I was like mid-20, and then having deep conversation with the people over 40s, 50s, 60s. They're telling me about stress at work, their problem with their children, their illness they are going through. Of course, I didn't have enough life experience at that time. All I could do was just listen very, attentively and compassionately. But the good thing was that, that really helped them, apparently. So what they really wanted was somebody there, rather than giving them the answer, they wanted somebody to really listen, And so I was getting, good at that, actually. And I realized that that could be part of my spiritual practice. In Buddhism, you need two things to become awakened. First one is wisdom, and another one is compassion. And both sides, it is absolutely necessary. And I realized that maybe I can cultivate compassion by engaging with, everyday problems that people are having and offering whatever the wisdom that I have. So that led me to do a little bit of social media, In my opinion, I think the social media is a tool, just like any other tool. It can be used, in a positive way, or it can be used in a negative way. So I start, writing something much more meditative and helpful, remarks that came from my meditations, or helping other people. And then that became really popular in Korea first. And then I was invited to write a book. At first, I didn't know, I didn't think that my book will become very popular, to be honest. But it became really popular. It's called The Things You Can See Only When You Slow Down. I think it was published here like a couple of years ago in London, in the UK as well. And then what happened was I decided to use whatever the attention that I was receiving for the public good. So I began what is called School of Broken Hearts. So I set up 4 years ago in Seoul, where people who are going through difficulty in their lives, they can come and they can share. Like, for example, if you are just recently diagnosed with cancer, or if you just lost your family member, or if you just went through very difficult divorce, or people who just got laid off, all this difficult experience. Oftentimes we feel that we are all alone, completely isolated and scared. However, if you are, if we come together, then you will realize that, I'm not the only one, and we can all do this together. And especially if you get to share your feeling, and through, you can share through language or through dance, through writing, through paintings, different ways, in a very supportive and caring way. And they can, help you tremendously, I realize. So the school has grown, quite a bit now, and we have like a 50 or 60 teacher working together, and we have two different center. And then from that experience, and as I was speaking with more people in the center and while giving a talk, I was able to write a second book, which is The Love for Imperfect Things, and here I am.
Well, welcome. We're very glad that you wrote the second book. So I actually want to touch a little bit on your school, because when I read about that, I thought about the skills that we're taught at school. We're taught everything from ceramics to woodwork to circuitry, but the education system doesn't really equip us with everyday skills, whether it's compassion or self-care. What are your views on that, and what can we do? Maybe there are people here with children, and how do we educate ourselves on this journey?
Right. I noticed that unfortunately the traditional school system, they do not teach us how to become more self-aware, become aware of who we are and under what circumstance I thrive and under what circumstance I don't do very well, and what kind of personality do I have, and what kind of path do I want to walk along. These are the very important questions. And if we fail, how can I pick myself up, how can I get out of this? When I feel so much anger, how do we overcome it? Or if I need to forgive somebody or let it go, how do I do that? All those important skill that's directly related to our life, everyday life. We didn't learn it, unfortunately. So that's why I started the School of Broken Hearts. I think we as a human being, we go through difficulty, whether we like it or not, because we have a human body. So we will get sick, we get disappointed, So in my school, I invite many, therapists or, wonderful teacher. We do it together to figure out things that we didn't learn in college or in high school.
So one of the tenets of Buddhism is life is suffering. But when you look at the world that we live in today, I think it's fair to say that everybody feels that life is good or life is great. How did we end up here, and what do we do?
Okay. Oh, very philosophical question. Very good. Well, in Buddhism, life by nature is not suffering, When we are grasping, when we are attaching, ourselves to a certain thing, whether it's your idea, whether it's your health, whether it's your relationship, and holding on to it and hoping that this will not change, then it creates suffering, So what they are saying is everything, everything that has form or shape is inevitably will change. It is impermanent. So if you can truly see that it is impermanent, then you can rejoice what you have, knowing that what you are having is temporary. Even if you are having a wonderful life right now, you may at some point get sick. When you experience that, then that becomes an opportunity for us to deepen compassion. I am sick, and that at that time you get to realize that there are a lot of people going through many terrible, difficult illness, for example, that invites ourselves to become more compassionate and have, open heart. So I think difficulty in our lives are, great lessons. It makes our spirit to become more mature.
And how does the compassion arise from that? So how do we exercise the compassion then?
So let's say we are in a very difficult situations, and if we are completely lost in that thoughts, feeling of victim, I just didn't want it, it just happened to me, I feel like a victim, it's terrible. And if we just keep on thinking about ourselves only, and not really connecting to the bodily emotions, things that is happening to you. In other words, if you just dwell on what happened in the past and continually regurgitate that thought over and over again, then you feel like you're a victim and you cannot get out of it. However, if you begin to turn that attention to other people who are in the similar situations, then you begin to see that through the pain, we actually connect. We can actually understand each other. This is the part of the life. And that makes us stronger. It allows us to break out of our egotistic shell.
Talking about imperfection, and perhaps there are times when, especially in January, it's very timely. Everyone wants to be skinnier, has a list of New Year resolutions, and in the book you talk about your existence is enough. But that's quite hard to embrace when the world is telling us that we could be better. And how do we navigate this? Because on the one hand, we should be happy with our existence, but on the other, it can get confusing when we all want to improve. Like, it's okay to have goals and want to be better, but where do you find the balance between the two?
This is another excellent question. Okay. I think we are all imperfect, right? Would you agree? Yeah? And I think it's good that we recognize some of our imperfection and try to become better at it, whatever that is. There is nothing wrong with it, However, just remind ourselves, can you remember the last time when you felt really peaceful and happy? Can you remember that? It could be when you are in a vacation, somewhere warm, or beautiful mountain, or in the company of your good friends, whenever that is, in that time, what was the overall quality of your mind? Your mind at that time was, you were appreciating that particular present moment that you're experiencing. And there was no resistance to what is, You are accepting as it is. You feel grateful for what is. Am I right? Yeah. So likewise, the happiness that we are seeking is actually accepting as it is, If we can, our heart becomes serene and become peaceful, and there is more space for us to embrace and become okay with what is. Of course, if we find some other problems in our life, then what happens is we are not content with the present moment. So our mind, it automatically escape, We think about the future, and we regret what happened in the past. So while doing that, we are missing out the present moment. So let me just also talk about one interesting thing. When I first became a monk, I had this idealized image of, perfect monk, right? So I was assigned to, master, my mentor, and so I was hoping that my mentor would be this idealized, perfect monk. But when I first met him, he wasn't anything like what I had in mind, My idealized monk, is very dedicated, serious, meditate really, hard, and then imparts very, wisdom and all that. But my mentor monk, master, he loves to make jokes, He also has some temper, He gets angry, So he wasn't exactly what I had in mind, And then at that time, what happened was I, had a close monk friend, and we were ordained around the same time. So he invited me to his temple. So I went to his temple, and I had dinner with him and his own master. So when I first met his master, he was exactly what I had in mind. His mind was serene and serious, and meditate a lot and imparts all the wisdom. So I was thinking, oh gosh, I wish I can switch. I wish I can change my mentor. So I was a little envious, of him. And then 10 years passed, and then I met my friend again out on the street accidentally. And then I was very happy, of course. So I said, "Oh, it's so nice to see you. Long time no see. You know, how have you been? And how's your perfect master?" and he said that, "Oh, well, you know, I am no longer in touch with my master." I was very shocked. You know, he's not, you know, having any kind of contact with his master. I said, "Why? You know, your master is perfect." And he said that because he was perfect, he demanded that all of his disciples to be perfect too. So he reprimand people, you know, if they are committing something that is not correct. So they were feeling really bad about themselves, you know, all the time. So he felt hurt, and so he left. At that time, I realized that my master wasn't bad at all, you know. You know, the fact that he has a humor, you know, it's like a great quality, I realized. He doesn't take himself very seriously, and he knows that he's imperfect. Because he knows he's imperfect, he's willing to forgive other people who's imperfect, you know. So a lot of monks who have some trouble or have some scandal outside, they will all ended up coming to my temple, and we are all living happily together because my master is like so forgiving. Anyway, and whenever he gets angry, and he usually feels bad about it next day, and he gives me pocket money, you know. So there are so many wonderful qualities. So I still get along with my master very well, and I really respect my master. I think, you know, once we accept our imperfections, I think we become much more genuine person, and we are willing to show our vulnerability. You know, when we show our vulnerable side, then I think we can meet another people in a much deeper and true, in a way, and there you can create much meaningful and deep relationship.
We spoke about acceptance and accepting our imperfections, other people's imperfections, and you speak about how that starts with self-care, self-love. So can you tell us what you define self-care to be and how it fits into acceptance?
I talk about this in my first chapter of this book, because while I was growing up, I was taught to be a good boy, you know. I just wanted to make my parents very happy and proud, and I wanted to be a good student too. So I wanted to make my teacher to be happy and proud, and then I wanted to be a good friend. You know, I wanted to make my friends to be happy around me. So I wanted to please other people, you know. However, while I was doing it, I neglected myself. You know, I neglected the well-being of myself. Like, for example, you know, when I went to graduate school, I remember, because I would say yes, yes, yes to everything, and in the group work, I ended up, you know, getting all the difficult work, you know, all the time, you know. So I was just assumed that if I do one difficult work, maybe the other will do, you know, difficult work later, but it didn't happen like that, you know, especially in the US. So I said, "Oh, I don't know what to do, you know, with this problem." So I was talking to my friend, and then he told me that you have an obligation to be good to yourself first, you know. So when we are being, you know, taking time to care about self, you know, care about our physical or emotional well-being, then what happens is when we are happier, when we are healthier, then we can be nice to other people. You know, and the opposite is also true. If we just say yes, yes, yes to everything, and if you become like overwhelmed and you become completely exhausted, then your relationship will suffer. You know, so I think we have to learn to say no to sometime, you know, to certain thing, but do it in a very compassionate way, and so that you are not, you know, creating abrupt, difficulty in a relationship.
I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about depression. So approximately 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience a mental health problem each year, and 1 in 6 report experiencing a common mental health problem in any given week. There is a chapter on depression in the book. So seems like a big challenge. How should we handle it, and how should we react to it when perhaps we're feeling depressed?
Yeah, it's a big topic, and sometimes we know the cause of our own depression, but sometimes we simply do not know why we feel that way. Maybe because our body is getting old, and then to a certain change in our body, we feel, emotionally depressed. But sometimes we do know why we feel depressed. Like, for example, if you have a very high hope, you have a high expectation, high goal to achieve, but if you look at your own reality, you are way down here. And so the distance between where you are and where you want to go is huge. And you've been trying to go there for many, many years, and yet you realize that I might not be able to get there. And then you, of course, feel very depressed. If that is the case, then rather than setting really high bar, I would recommend that why don't you break it down and then look for something easier goal to achieve. And so rather than feeling that I am a huge failure, you can turn it around and say, I do make my life is full of success. It can be very little thing, but you can do it little by little. And you can also, if you are seriously depressed, then I think it is important that you look and seek out professional help from a doctor. But if you are feeling a little bit blue once in a while, then I think it is important that we move our body. We often think that we can, if by just thinking about positive thing, maybe we can change our mind. But our mind and body is so closely interconnected. So if you're feeling a little bit depressed or a little bit blue, then I suggest that, why don't you go out and take a walk in a beautiful nature, And so if you look at bird or, flowers or, green lawn or whatever, then a sky, you can get out of this, perpetual, negative, thinking loop. You know what I mean? So by paying attention to what is happening in front of you, you can become less self-obsessed,
I'd like to know how many people in the room meditate, say, daily? Sometimes, okay? At least once a month. Okay, so we have some enthusiasts in the room. I'd like to, if I may, read a passage from the book about meditation. The true nature of our mind is like the sky. Our thoughts are like clouds, our emotions like lightning, and the sky accepts them all equally, watching as they shift and move across it. The weather of thoughts and emotions rises and passes away, but the sky remains the same, clear, luminous, open. It's a really wonderful passage, but it's hard to get into that state where it really feels like the clouds and the lightning are moving in and out. And how do we get there? I guess it's obviously there's an element of regular practice, but what advice do you have for us meditation enthusiasts?
Very good, very good. I was deeply touched, and very happy that you guys are into meditation. That is really wonderful. But I'm also hoping that you guys can take a step more and do a little bit deeper meditation. That is, we can meditate just to feel good about ourselves, to understand about our thinking mind and things like that. But you can also go a step further. That is, what is that which knows? We know everything, right? Are you aware that I'm here, right? So then, what is that which is aware of Haemin Sunim is here? You see what I mean? Yeah. We only pay attention to the object, the object of awareness, but can we pay attention to awareness itself? Can you become aware of your own awareness? From that awareness, field of awareness, I would say, everything rises and disappears. It can be your good feeling or negative thoughts, whatever that is. It arises and disappears. However, this awareness field, It never moves. It never disappears. Can you stop being aware? Can you try, let's say for the next 3 minutes, can you say, for the next 3 minutes, I have decided not to be aware. Can you do that? Yeah, even if you close your eyes and close your ears, you become aware that, oh, I don't see anything. You become aware that, oh, there is nothing. Awareness is still happening. You see what I mean? Whether you like it or not. But whatever the object you become aware of, it comes and goes. It's impermanent. However, that which is aware, it stays. That is a deeper meditation.
How do we get there?
The truth is, we are already there. We just have to simply see what is already there. We don't try to be aware, right? When you look at me, do you try say, okay, I'm going to try to be aware of what is happening in front of me? No, it just happened automatically, right? So it is already there, this awareness. It follows everywhere, even when you are dreaming, you are aware. This awareness you can never escape, so to speak, right? But do you have any memory of this awareness being born? Do you have any memory of the birth of your awareness? No, we don't. Awareness is ever present. It was never born, and therefore it will never die.
But you have to tune into it somehow.
Yeah.
And that's attention.
Yeah, just to become aware of your own awareness.
How much of that is, for example, paying attention to your breathing? Because I find that in a meditation practice, it starts with the simplest way of becoming aware is being aware of your breath, because it's a way of bringing your mind back.
Exactly. I mean, it's an excellent practice. If we can just bring our mind to our breath, it has so many benefits. First thing is our body feels better, right? As we are taking a deep breath, what happened? We feel much more relaxed. Our heart, start to slow down, and we feel, a different part of our mind becomes more relaxed and has space. And also, as we breathe, pay attention to our breath, we are bringing our mind into the present moment. When we bring our mind to the present moment, there is, no more attachment to what happened in the past, no more anxiety about what's going to happen in the future. Also, when your mind becomes empty and quiet, that's where the creativity comes. If you want to be creative, notice that usually you have this creative idea when you are not constantly thinking. You might be thinking a lot, and then give yourself some 1 hour of rest time while you're walking around in a park or something, or taking a shower, and then all of a sudden what happens? Boom! I have a new idea, right? So when we do not have a lot of thoughts, when our mind becomes very quiet, we have this creativity. Another benefit is when breath itself does not have any form. Breath doesn't have any form, right? Can you, capture any form of a breath? No, because it's a formless. Because we are paying attention to what is formless, which is very close to awareness. Awareness does not have any form or shape. So it is very good entry point to become aware of your awareness.
With that, I would like to hand it over to Googlers to ask some questions.
Hey, thank you for being here. I just wanted to ask, because obviously the scenarios that you were touching on, cancer, losing a child, something like that. What if that is the present, and that's, we're focusing on the present, but the present sucks? I mean, I agree with letting go of the past and not looking to the future, but I think it's harder to do if there's actually something going on in the present that doesn't deserve focus maybe, or drags us down. What do we do?
Right. first of all, my heart goes out to you, and you'll be in a very difficult situation, especially when your child is sick. It's a really daunting thing, or you yourself has some kind of illness. What I would say is this: if you are carefully examine your body or examine your mind, you will notice that you are not sick 24 hours. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if you are sick, even if you have an illness, you are not sick 24 hours a day. But what's troubling you is whenever you have a thought of illness, whenever, gosh, I have the illness, I don't know what to do, then that thought trigger this depression or depressive emotions. So realize that when you are a little bit in a difficult situation, maybe it is the thought that keep thinking about it again and again that is causing that problem. But sometimes we do forget, and then we watch TV and watch some funny episode of sitcom or something, then we can laugh, because our mind is not dwelling on that thought. So as the thought we momentarily, not dwelling on, then we can appreciate what is happening in spite of this. Like for example, I remember I was in a difficult situation where I had a fan, in Korea, who really liked me obsessively and tried to follow me around and show up on every single talk that I was giving, and I was a little bit scared. This person was almost stalker, right? Whenever I thought about her, I was feeling a little bit depressed because, this person is projecting a lot of, this person's emotion onto me. And if I do not, tell or satisfy this person's needs, then this person goes on online and ended up, saying all the negative things about me and then making people believe, this person's testimony. But whenever I was thinking about her, I realized that my mind became very depressed. However, when I was not thinking about her, I realized that I was okay. So the very source of suffering was a thought, I realized. What is making us feel really depressed and angry is whether we dwell on that thought. So if we can just bring our mind to present moment, what is really happening right in front of us. You can have a cup of tea with your best friend, or you can be listening to inspiring talk. Then you don't have to think about those kind of problems. You see what I mean? So I would say that pay more attention to present moment. Even more.
More questions?
I have a question on whether you have any suggestions. I know you've talked a lot about individual practice to be more present and more aware. As a family, with children and with your partner, is there any practices that you think could help as a family, the whole family?
When you are living with many children and you have a very demanding job, and when you go back you have a partner waiting for you, then it's very difficult for us to have a sense of calmness in our everyday activity. So what I usually suggest is see if you can still carve out a little bit of time, even if it's 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. So what that means is rather than getting off at your regular bus stations, you can get off like at 3 stop, before, and then you can maybe enjoy, walking back home and while listening to your favorite song. So, carving out, just, having this intention to care about myself first. You can go to your favorite coffee shop, and while you are enjoying coffee or tea, you can you can have a more relaxed time and checking in with my mind and my body. Or you can go to your favorite bookshop. Whenever I go to bookshop and see an empty chair, I'm so happy. I go sit there and read, and this gives me a downtime. And then when I go to, the back to your home or go back to your work, then you can go back with your refreshed mind. And also in your daily activity with your family member, what I would suggest is, rather than thinking that we already know about our family member, we often think that I already know, everything there is to know about my boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, or my children. Then what happens is we stop asking questions. We are not curious about what happened to their lives. But the thing is, we always change. We are changing. Our children are changing. Our husband or partners are changing. So if we approach to your family member with sense of curiosity and humility that you don't know everything there is to know, then you can have a deeper conversation. You can ask, oh, how have you been today? What was going on? And then it is also important to share not just the fact. People often just say, oh, what time are you getting home? Oh, 7 o'clock. What did you have dinner? I had a chicken teriyaki. There's like a fact. You just ask. However, I think it is important that we also ask how we are feeling. Which is the deeper self. How are you feeling? So allowing some time for us to unpack our own feeling. And feeling that the other person is really hearing me out, it can create deeper bond.
Hello, thank you for being here today. There's a kind of like a situation that I find puzzling in general, which is on one hand, I buy into the power of vulnerability, the importance of embracing imperfections, of knowing them, etc. But on the other hand, I have the feeling that the world, and especially social media, while it can be a great medium for knowledge, etc., there is this race towards perfection and only actually depicting what's perfect. When you look at people today on social media, no one really puts their picture when they're, feeling ill or bad or when they're arguing with their partner. It's all like, how happy, clappy, peppy. And I find it really puzzling because I think it's antinomic. What would be your advice to maybe especially the younger ones that are going to experience more and more social pressure on media and to still keep that philosophy of loving imperfections? Thank you.
I was in Canada and near Vancouver. I was invited to give a talk there. And then after, the event, I drove up, with my friend, and I heard there's a beautiful mountain, and if you just walk about 4 hours, and you will see snow-capped mountain with beautiful lake. So, I decided to go there. So I went there, but what I did not know was that while climbing up, going up, there were a lot of flies. The bugs, flies, and so for the last 4 hours, as I was going up, I have to do this, I have to do this like constantly because there were so many flies and bugs around me. And then once I get to that, beautiful scenic spot, I was very happy, but at the same time, I was extremely hungry, and then exhausted, However, when I took the photo, I was smiling. And then as if there was no bug, as if there was no exhaustion, as if there was no hunger, So when you see very happy face on your friend's Facebook entry or Twitter or other social media, Instagram, or YouTube, just remind yourself that maybe this person was fighting off the flies for the last 4 hours and suffering from the exhaustions and hunger. So I think having that awareness helps quite a bit. And also, rather than rather ourselves with somebody who's doing a lot better, because there will be always somebody who's always, doing better than you. I was advised, I remember, we have to compare ourselves to our old us, right? So, like, for example, I remember in Korea, the richest person in Korea is the owner of Samsung. you know the Samsung, right? And then, so I thought that, wow, this guy must be really rich. And then one day I was reading a newspaper article, and it ranked the wealth of different people in the world, and he ranked like 170 something. And then I realized that even he, if he was to, compare himself, then he would feel, oh gosh, I only made it, 170 something. You see what I mean? So we shouldn't do that. Rather we should become proud of how much we have achieved so far. For the last 10 years or 15 years, how much we have grown, spiritually, emotionally, also career-wise.
I think we'll take one last question.
I have.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I think we can learn a lot, definitely, and apply a lot to our lives. I'm just thinking, like, if we take this idea of being content and being constantly present and aware to the extreme, and let's say everyone became like a Buddhist monk, right, or close to that, like, what would happen? Because like a lot of the stuff that we do is because the problems we have, the things that bugs us, the ambitions and insecurities that drives us, right? So how do you view like being content with ourselves and really enjoying the life versus like our obligation towards like society or civilization to progress it by constantly like seeing the bugs, right, and trying to get rid of them or put them aside or make them not bite you, right, rather than being content that they are around you and just ignoring them?
Like connecting to the present moment, and being mindful of what's going on, it doesn't mean that you become lazy, It doesn't mean that you become, I don't care about the world, I think just being content actually allows us to engage in work in a much, proficient way. When you are happy, notice that you can actually respond quickly. There is a space for you to tolerate annoyances of other people because you find much more peaceful at heart. The opposite is the problem. That is, if your heart is closed off and feeling that you are completely isolated and you are thinking about what happened in the past while ignoring the bug that is coming up right now, then I think this can become problems. Your stress level is already up and feeling like a victim because I have another work that I have to do. So I would say that just being mindful doesn't mean that you become like a corpse. Instead, you can actually respond much more compassionately, much quickly to the demands or difficulty of other people's having.
One last question in the back, Dennis.
Thank you for being here. So we have a mindfulness meditation community here at Google. And there's a lot of people who are, I think, trying to get into a daily practice. So I'm really curious to hear, what is your take on the benefits of a daily practice? And also maybe some practical tips around how to establish one, because I think it's quite hard in the beginning. And it takes a while to get the benefits or to kind of start feeling the impact. So if you have any kind of tips on how to best get into that kind of a routine.
Right. Well, I would say that if you are interested in mindfulness meditation and you want to get into that, but I don't know how to do that, then the first thing I would say is have a very low expectation. So rather than say, oh, I'm going to sit quietly for the next 20 minutes without any thinking and then paying attention fully to my breath, just reduce, like scale back and say that, well, I'm going to spend next 2 minutes, see if I can just sit quietly and enjoy my breath, And if you accomplish like 2 minutes, then you can say, oh, I'll do 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then slowly you can increase it. So you don't have to say, I'm going to somehow bliss out, And if I'm not, then maybe I'm a failure, But that is not the case. Meditation isn't so much to get to a certain state of our mind, rather whether we can mindful of whatever the state we are in. So if we can be mindful of, oh, I feel frustrated because nothing is happening, or I feel, a wasting of my time because I'm not focusing, then become mindful of that thought, oh, I just had that frustration thought, interesting, you know what I mean? Oh, I had that frustration, feeling, interesting. This is mindfulness. So I would, that would be my answer.
Well, thank you. So I should say 감사합니다.
Yes, 감사합니다. Okay.
Thanks so
it.
much, everyone, for joining. And please join me in thanking Haemin, for a really wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.